Hey guys, we are two online coaches with two very different opinions and two very different target markets of who we work with. So today we are just going to speak through some controversial topics within the fitness industry, go through a little bit more about ourselves, and then basically just have a chit chat all about the industry and what we think of it. So, Antonia, let's start with you. I've already answered that first question for you. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Antonia Kate. I run a business called KFL FIT. And I coach women who are recovering from an eating disorder or disordered eating to find food freedom and fall back in love with their body and exercise.
Amazing. So would you say that is your main goal within coaching, or what's your overriding message?
Personally, my overriding message within coaching is to make sure that women feel comfortable within themselves and they're not attached to a number on the scale or attached to a clothes size or, not having guilt around food or feeling like they have to exercise to burn calories or anything like that. So I guess it's overall health, not only physically but mentally.
Okay. Why did you become a coach?
Okay. I became a coach because I have had a very rough ride with food and exercise. I struggled with an eating disorder for about 15 years. And food literally controlled me. It controlled my daily actions, it controlled me going out, it controlled me socializing, all that kind of stuff. And as a result, I now want to help women who are in the same position as me and they don't think they can get out of it when really they can. And life is so beautiful when you eat and you feel good and you move for the right reasons, not for aesthetic reasons.
So do you feel like your biggest strength with your niche as a coach is that you can empathize, you can put yourselves in their situation, you can basically explain how you felt and that you were able to do it?
Yeah, I think where I sit with it is someone said to me the other day, they were like, you're just like a girls coach, like
Love
you're
that.
for the girls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know how it feels to look in the mirror and think oh my God, you're disgusting. But then in the same breath, be reaching for certain foods because they make you feel good. And then, having that awful sense of dread and oh, what have I just done to myself? And then you go and exercise to burn it all off and you do it all the next day. And every woman that comes to us always says I just feel comfortable. And that's what we want. We want people to be able to look at us, not just as their coach, but someone that supports them. So yeah, I think my biggest strength as a coach is I get it. And I don't think there's much more to that, if that makes sense. I think that answers itself.
Okay. Deep one for maybe people that are unsure of this answer, because I think that's probably where a lot of people are feeling with, say, an eating disorder, no matter what side of the scale that may be, from anorexia to bulimia to binge eating, whatever that may be, and whatever you've been through for yourself. Do you think you fully recover from an eating disorder, or do you manage it?
I don't think you ever fully recover. No, never.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a voice in the back of my head. Mm-hmm. There always will be. I've just had to learn how to quieten that voice and manage how I feel when that voice talks to me. Mm-hmm. Because an eating disorder is a mental illness. And I think so many people forget that. A lot of people have this idea of an eating disorder is just oh, you get really skinny and you don't eat. It's not that. And it makes me really angry that one of the biggest things for me during my recovery was, well, you don't look thin. And it's well, I was muscly and I was strong because I was training.
We picture eating disorder as what I think is the first thing that pops into your head is anorexia.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't necessarily think somebody who goes to the gym, who's pretty toned, a lot of muscle mass, is going through that. And do you think that is one of the biggest misconceptions with
100%,
eating disorders?
100%. People, there's some influencers out there, 1000% have issues with food. And yet people idolize them because they've got a six-pack, they're fit, they're strong. Mm-hmm. They've got the dream body. But what are they doing to actually have that dream body? Mm-hmm. And I always say to people, if your dream body is a nightmare to maintain, it's not the body you're meant to have, period. And I think so many people brush aside certain elements of their relationship with food.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can help spread that message that little bit further.
Love that. Big question.
Go for it.
So I'm really going off on a tangent here, but effect that social media has, and I can imagine that's something you can talk about, so let's keep it concise. Effect that social media has. Let's talk Instagram, let's maybe talk influencers. What effect is that having on, say, the generation that is witnessing? So it's our generation, 20s, 30s, younger. What effect do you think that has on an eating disorder versus somebody maybe in their 50s and 60s, maybe like our parents, who have a lesser likelihood of an eating disorder, if that's fair to say? I don't know statistically, but what do you think social media effect has on that?
I think it's a massive part of the problem. And we're seeing a rise in eating disorders as social media gets bigger. We've got TikTok, Instagram, all of these.
And that's fact. Like that is
cold, hard, like fact.
Yeah.
And even when like we were younger, OK Magazine was like 10 best and worst bikini bodies. Like that's pushing a narrative. And the trouble with social media is there's no censorship. You can post whatever you want, whenever you want. And TikTok and Instagram and Facebook push what is getting likes.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly seeing size 6 girls, blonde, massive boobs, great bum, tiny, eating next to nothing, and you're constantly liking that content, it's going to keep coming up. So it becomes the normal, and that's what you think is normal, but it's not. That's the 1% of the 1%.
And it's a bit like us, for example, being coaches, been in the fitness industry. My page is full of the fitness industry.
Yeah.
So I am constantly seeing other coaches that are in great shape, that are training, that are up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But my page looks very different to somebody else's page. And that's like you said with the algorithm. But like you said, eating disorders becoming more and more common as social media becomes more and more common, with more different platforms and more accessibility to platforms. With that comes FaceApp and Facetune. Whereas Photoshop used to be like a professional thing that celebrities used, like you said, in OK Magazine. Now anybody can download that latest app and even trim themselves in videos. And do you think that, again, is like just another contributing factor to the problem that we have?
Yeah, like it's just a whole nother opportunity for people to alter themselves to look a certain way. And I think if you're going to do it, be open and honest about it. It's like if you have like surgery, like be open and honest about it. Or, you know, if you get like filler and stuff like that, like be honest about it, because otherwise you think it's what people look like and it's not. And I personally feel like our generation, when we have kids, we're going to be so hyper aware of it.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to go the other way, I think. Yeah.
And I hope that happens, because I'm seeing I work with a lot of women in their kind of like later 30s that have got kids that are like 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're having to literally retrain them how to speak about food. Because I said to them, I was like, look, you've got an opportunity here for your kids to have a really positive relationship or a really negative relationship with food.
Are like sponges.
Yeah, you absorb everything.
And if we talk about maybe what we saw, I'll talk for myself, like maybe what we saw a parent doing. You know, my mom was always, you know, I'm not eating that, I've cut that out. So she would dish our dinners up as a family, but hers wouldn't have any potato. Or she'd be off to Slimmers World on a Wednesday afternoon, or she'd be maybe not the latest, but a lot of people is Slim Fast Shake. And I always say to people of my clients, would you be happy if your 10-year-old daughter said she wants to shake for lunch? Because they are absorbing that from you.
Oh my God, yeah. And you're so impressionable between the age of 0 and 7.
Sponge.
Yeah,
literally.
It's where you literally learn everything, and you can't rationalise things as a kid. You just like, well, if mum says that's bad.
Mum is the pinnacle. Mum's like the goal, like your biggest inspiration. So probably quite a difficult question, but if there was somebody watching this today and suffering with relationship with food, no matter what side of the spectrum or part of the spectrum they're on, and you could give them one bit of advice to just make themselves feel slightly better or to take one step forward in their recovery journey.
Ooh.
Very difficult question. But what would be the first thing, say a client came to you, what would be the first thing you would advise them to stop, change?
I think the first step is you need to talk about it.
So I was going to say, is it admitting it? Is it talking about it?
The hardest part of recovery is knowing that there's a problem, because you can put yourself in denial. For us, I was in denial for years. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as you go, actually, that's not normal, that's when recovery really begins. And it's like, okay.
So step number 1, admit it to yourself.
Yeah.
and talk to someone.
Yeah, 100%.
Got you. So if you could summarize your message and your ethos with your business, with your coaching strategy, that tagline,
Oh my God.
how would you do that for yourself? Because there's so many online coaches we know.
Yeah.
How would you set yourself apart from the rest? Or what would be that take-home motto, ethos, message?
Oh, that's a huge question.
Very difficult question.
And you know me, I can talk for England.
Ask it for a sentence, I'm going to get an essay. But it's fine.
God, okay. I think what we do is unique.
Mm-hmm.
How we do it is different. And the results that we get last a lifetime. We teach people how to live the rest of their life, not just like lose X amount of weight in like X amount of time for a wedding or something like that. It's like, right, how can this be a lifestyle rather than a quick thing?
So you would give someone, we will teach you how to feel good within yourself for the rest of your life rather than 6 weeks.
And I think as well, there's a real misconception of like, you can be in recovery and still want to change how your body looks.
That is a huge, and it's something I've seen with clients that have potentially had a little bit of NHS advice with eating disorders. Let's take binge eating with maybe one of the more common ones.
It's the most common.
Most common. And the doctor will say, or the psychiatrist, don't quite know the right term to use there, but whoever would, seeing them within the NHS, for example, right, we can help you with your binge eating, but you can't want to lose weight at the same time.
I just don't agree with it.
Because if they're not happy within themselves, and I think it's something we touched on earlier, it's not losing weight necessary to look great in a bikini, but it might be weight loss that they need to stop being on their diabetic medication. Yeah. It might be taking them away from some blood pressure medications. It might be so they can run around with their kids in the park without being out of breath. Yeah. So it's a big stigma that if you recover from an eating disorder, you've got to stay how you are. Yeah. If not get bigger or whatever that may be.
Yeah. And it bothers me because majority of women come to me going, I want to lose weight. And then I go, okay, but why do you want to lose weight? Yeah. I want to feel more confident. Okay, so let's deep dive into
what does that mean?
Yeah. Like, does that mean if you're more confident, you can get intimate with your partner?
With the lights on?
Yeah. Is it, if you're more confident, you can go out and eat and not feel guilty? Like, it's not just like weight loss.
Got to go into that why.
Yeah. And recovery is different for everyone, and you can't judge someone for wanting to recover in a certain way. I can advise and I can, me and my partner work in the business together, and I can say like, right, this is what we believe is best for you. But we're never going to push something. We're never going to put someone in an uncomfortable position. Like, we've got one lady who came to us, history of bulimia, which then turned into binge eating later down the line. She wants to lose 5 stone. And I was like, that's cool. That's great.
So the people that would turn her away and say, I'll help you with the bulimia and the binge eating, but I'm not going to help you with the 5 stone.
No.
So you feel like you can... That's probably quite a big niche for you then. You can work on one while making her feel better.
And don't get me wrong, it's a slower process.
Yes, I get that.
Like, because we're having to rebuild a relationship, but also become more confident in who she is, in the way she looks. And I said to her, like, you've got to understand that this is a long-term thing. This is not like a 3 months, it's going to go. Like,
people aren't coming to you for 3 months. They're coming to you for a chunk of time to get the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So you would say, someone needs to invest probably about a year to have the next 30 years of feeling good.
And I don't think that's much of an investment. If you...
like when you look at it in ratios.
Yeah. You invest in yourself for a year, and like when you're 90, you're still like walking around without a Zimmer frame and feeling good and da-da-da-da. Come on, like a year?
No brainer,
you know? All right then, let's start with the basics. Who are you?
I am Kerry, and my company is KFL FIT. I am a online transformation coach, mainly focusing on women's fat loss. That's my bread and butter. That's my niche.
Okay. So why did you become a coach?
So I started like 10 or so years ago in strength and conditioning. That's what I did my degree in. That's what I did all my qualifications in. I then went into a little bit more of the physio rehabilitation route. And then when I went to uni and was finishing my kind of like degree and things, I put on a hell of a lot of weight. Well, hell of a lot of weight for me. Obviously, that's relative for a lot of people. I put on about 2.5 stone, and on a 5'2", quite petite person, feels quite a lot. Some people may say, it's not, but it's how you feel, and that's what I always say to clients. When we went into lockdown in 2020,
4 years ago.
4 years, wild. I actually reached out to an online coach and just said to them, if I don't get some help now, lockdown will be vicious for me. Really kind of like not good relationship with food, poor relationship with movement, kind of like in that burning calories sort of mindset. I moved to burn calories rather than for the other benefits. And I had the best experience with my online coach. I lost probably about 2.5, nearly 3 stone. Felt the best I'd ever felt, and I just wanted to be able to inject that feeling. If I could bottle it up, I wanted to inject it into some other people.
Okay.
And I'm here today.
So that kind of answers the next question, but I'll ask it anyway. What's your goal within coaching?
There's people that go around and talk about this is what the specifics that they maybe want to achieve. And if I could make it really simple, that feeling that I had when I went on my first girls' night out after COVID, on my first holiday, and that wasn't with just how I looked. That was just me gaining so much control and so much self-discipline of my life. I learned how to say no to things that didn't fulfill me. I learned how to pick and choose what filled my cup rather than emptying it. And in the result of that, I created a much physically, more confident version of myself. I didn't avoid family photos. I didn't dread the girls' night out because I didn't want to wear a tight dress or I didn't want to wear a dress. Didn't dread the summer because the shorts would come out. And it wouldn't be a specific feeling. It would be all of those things together that I would love to be able to inject in so many women that are in the same position as me. So it may not be as, specific and things as some other people, but I think so many people can probably relate to everything I just said. And I doubted that I could ever do it. And somebody showed me that I could. So I want to show other people that too.
I love that because like you said you had a really good experience like with your online coach. Would you say then your weight loss journey was a very positive one? Or would you say it had elements of negativity?
Positive. And I don't think many people can say that. No. So many people's weight loss journey is cutting this out, restricting this, missing out on things like birthdays, and because people tell me they can't have a piece of birthday cake on their birthday because they're on a diet. Wild.
Yeah.
Didn't miss out on my family Sunday dinner. So everything I achieved through my weight loss journey was positive, and that's why a big part of my coaching process is to make it as positive as possible for people. No one dreads going on holiday when they're being coached by me. Nobody dreads a Saturday evening because they can't relax and enjoy with their friends. No one thinks that they can't eat the cookie that their kids baked in their first cookery class or whatever it may be. And you're right, not many people have a positive approach with weight loss and dieting because it's restriction, it's missing out, it's hunger, it's tiredness, it's fatigue. And I didn't feel that. And I'm not going to tell you that it was easy.
No.
To move.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Everybody would be walking around in top condition. But it wasn't easy, but it was achievable. And I didn't think that was the case before. I'd done keto, I'd done juicing, I'd done no carbs before marbs. Yeah. I'd done everything you could name. I've done it. I've done Slim Fast. I've done it all. But every single part of that experience was negative. And when I had a coach who, to this day still have help with, still coach, still have help, the biggest positive experience, and that was something I've never really thought about it like that, but really kind of good way to think about it, because every part of it was positive. It was difficult, but it was achievable and it was doable, and I didn't miss out on anything.
Do you think if you'd had more of a negative journey with it, you wouldn't be a coach now? Or do you feel like maybe it would have put you off a little bit? Or
I feel like it could have sent me one way or another. Yeah. It could have even made me go, I've really seen the process that he's put me through, but there's 100 things I would do differently. Yeah. So it might have pushed me to go, that was rubbish, but I'm going to do that better. So I'm not really sure. I would say difficult question because it was so good. I can't imagine it not being.
Yeah.
But I take on clients at the moment who have had pretty poor experiences with coaches.
Oh yeah.
And we're having to undo what's been fed to them. We spend some time going backwards before we can go forwards. Luckily, I didn't have that. But I think what we've touched on before, and this is getting into a very, could be a long conversation, which we might go into later. This industry is very unregulated. Which I think I've got a good question about, but I would really pride myself on everybody having a positive experience. And if they're not having a positive experience, we fix it so that they are. So it's not like a cookie cutter approach. This is what you're going to do. And if you don't love it, then see you later. We chop and change it. And it's same with you. Every single client is coached so differently.
Everyone's a different person. So everyone's journey has to be different and everyone's approach has to be different. And the fact that there are so many coaches out there that still give clients, regardless whether they're a 35-year-old single mum with 2 kids or they're an 18-year-old going into uni, the same fucking program, it drives me up the bloody wall. Like, genuinely, it pisses me off beyond belief. And
I feel that.
Like, I feel steam coming out my ears. And like, this is a really weird analogy, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you've got an oak tree and you've got a palm tree. An oak tree is solid. It stands the test of time. Loads of wind could be thrown at it. It's not going to move, right? One day it comes crashing down. You've got a palm tree, which is flexible. It can withstand crazy temperatures in Thailand. It can withstand the rainy season. It can withstand the wind. It just moves. You've got to be flexible because if you're not, you are going to come crashing down and it's going to be a hard fall and you're going to have a very big reality check.
Absolutely. And that's a really good way to think about it.
I know.
But it's like, that cookie cutter approach, and there's so many apps that I'm sure anybody listening to this, we've seen it. There's so many apps that are $12.99 a month, maybe less, $5.99 a month. And here's your training program. Here's your calorie target. Off you go. That is being given to your neighbor, your mom, your sister, someone at work, because it's not tailored. So I think the biggest difference with coaching is taking away that blueprint and that, let's face it, there's a specific for fat loss.
Yeah.
We all know that. It's science. Nobody can argue with that. But how you get there is so individual and so person dependent that your approach might not work for one of my clients, or my approach might not work for one of your clients, which is why there is so much room for great coaches out there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay. If you could summarize your message as a coach, what would it be?
Like you said, very, very difficult question. I don't think it's going to be a sentence, but like I touched on before, it's going to be, I will show you a positive experience of how to improve your confidence, how to improve your health and fitness and lose weight at the same time. Like, I'm not the coach, and we have different audiences. I'm not the coach that's going to tell you, we'll just get you feeling good within yourself. And obviously that's a big goal, but you're coming to me for weight loss. So I'm going to help you with that. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush and tell you when you're on diabetic medication, heart medication, that, you're beautiful, love yourself. You are beautiful. You are stunning. But I know you're coming to me for fat loss.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to give you, but I'm going to make you feel damn good while doing it. And I'm going to give you a result that anything I give you to do, I want you to say that you're confident enough to continue that for the next 10, 20 years.
Because if a diet, and I hate using that word because obviously,
it's hard,
it's a very cutting word, but
it's used wrong.
Yeah.
A diet is just something that you're potentially following along. We see it as a diet as restriction, negative.
Because that's what social media and all
diet
of that
culture.
malarkey has done. Like, diet culture is a whole different topic, but if the methods aren't sustainable, the results aren't sustainable.
It doesn't just go back on, it goes on tenfold.
In tenfold, yeah.
Been there and done it.
Yeah.
Drop loads of weight through keto, goes on twice as much.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right, your phone's locked, so we should probably go on to our more discussion-y topics.
So should I just go through some of the controversial topics? You have an opinion, I'll have an opinion, and then we'll go from there. Right, so I'm going to go through some controversial topics potentially in the coaching industry, the fitness industry, the diet industry. Let's use the word, but let's put it out there that we know what we mean by that. So, opinion on a meal plan versus a macro target. So for anybody watching that is unsure what we mean, a meal plan would be more of a prescriptive, here's some options for breakfast, lunch and dinner. That could be as specific as you like. Could be one option for each. It could be, you know, very vague.
Yeah.
A macro target is this is how many calories you're going to consume, potentially with protein, fats and carbs.
Okay, so I have quite an opinion, as I do on everything.
And our opinion is going to be different on this. And there isn't a right or wrong with this because our audiences are different. But it's really interesting to hear between two different coaches who people think have the same job about how we differ.
But it's different, yeah. So we have to remember that a meal plan can only be prescribed by a dietitian. So if a personal trainer is giving a meal plan for a client to follow to the T, that is outside their scope of practice. And you're like, that's not legal, for use of a better word. Meal suggestions are everyone, you know, there's a time and a place, okay? So if a client's prepping for a photo shoot, they're doing a body confidence photo shoot, they want to feel better and they just want to have a more like, right, these are my options for breakfast, these are my options for lunch, these are my options for dinner. Cool. If that's what's suited to you, brilliant. But for the average person, especially people that come to work with us, a meal plan is telling someone what to do and it's not giving them freedom, it's restricting. Especially if it's like, right, you have to eat this, you have to eat that, you have to eat that. Whereas macros, I feel like when you're sort of tracking your macros, you learn more because you're learning about, right, what's the most satiating carbohydrates? What is the best source of protein for lowest calorie? Like, you know, food is food, but how you consume it is very important for your specific goals.
And it depends how you, that makes a difference for how you feel.
Exactly. I think the coaches out there that just give you a calorie and protein target, they're going to die out because it's not enough anymore.
Praise the Lord.
It is not enough anymore because you have to educate people because yes, you could eat McDonald's 3 meals a day and be in a calorie deficit and lose weight, but you're going to feel shit for doing it.
And I can get that off Google. Why am I paying a coach to get
exactly.
that?
So I think when it comes to macros, I personally think it's a healthier approach because you can learn more off the back of it. Because if you have a meal plan, what happens is you go off track, guilt, restriction. Oh my God, why have I done that? I feel awful. Like, oh, how do I rectify this? And for my niche, that's not something that they need when they're trying to get better. So I personally think macros over everything. But then I think also looking at actually how we're eating. So a lot of our clients do food pictures.
So you're talking macros with education, not just you're going to consume 1,800 calories and 130 grams of protein.
No.
With guidance.
Yeah. I'm talking, right, your carbohydrate intake is 220 grams. This is how we're going to get there by using, a combination of complex carbs, but also simple carbohydrates because they're the ones that taste good. They're the ones that we enjoy. You know, protein. How do we regulate our protein? How do we find protein in snacks? Can we swap this for that to, fill us up a bit more? Because as we know, protein takes longer to digest. It keeps us fuller for longer. So if our diet is rich in protein, we're going to stay fuller for longer. Whereas if we're eating things like simple carbohydrates, as soon as it's gone through us, we're hungry again. And then we reach for that convenience because
that is where most people go wrong.
Yeah. But anyway, I could talk for England about this, but what about you? Meal plans, macros, what are your thoughts?
So I have a bit of a hybrid answer, I would say. Like I mentioned to you, I think education is so key. And anybody who knows me and my coaching style, nothing riles me more than somebody just thinking about the calories that is in the food.
Yeah.
So we said it about it earlier. I see so many Instagram accounts that is counting calories with Sue and counting calories with John, whatever it may be. And I'm seeing a McDonald's McMuffin for breakfast. I'm seeing a plate of chicken goujons for lunch. And I'm seeing some smiley faces and some beans for dinner or covered in cheese. They're in their calorie deficit. But how do they feel? Digestion, awful. Skin, awful. Energy, awful.
Yep.
Low protein, hence, poor recovery from training, poor kind of mental concentration and cognitive function because they're not getting in those different bits and pieces. So my problem with giving people calories initially for a new client for me is it's very overwhelming for them. For somebody who comes to me who hasn't got a clue, because we talk about it because it's what we talk about every single day.
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
we know a
it's
lot about
jargon
it
for us.
Yeah.
But it's become so normal. I have to remember that client comes to me, doesn't actually know what fats, proteins and carbs are, apart from that bread is carbs or a potato is a carb. So I personally start with flexible meal plans, and like you said, controversial, but this is why we all work differently. But a meal plan that is designed for them. So it comes back off a diet audit that I receive. So they'd have a consultation, comes back off a diet audit. That is not one option for breakfast, one option for lunch. That is a choice of probably majority of the carbs that you can have. So for dinner, pasta, rice, potatoes, wraps, whatever it may be, chicken, beef mince, this, that. But I'm giving them some structure, so they're not walking into the supermarket or downloading MyFitnessPal going, where do I even start?
Yeah.
And that also eliminates them trying to fit too much crap in there, in moderation, but trying to go, I had a McDonald's for my lunch, that was 900 calories. So all I can have is a tiny dinner automatically next day, starving. So I coach slightly differently. So I start with a flexible meal plan, educate them along the way as to why I'm giving them what they're giving them, so they understand. It's not prescriptive, here you go, like that's what you're eating, off you go.
Argue that that's not even like a meal plan. Like,
I would it's meal structure.
It's meal structure, because to me, meal plan is, right, you're having this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for da-da-da. And they are prescribed to people during, like, for instance, anorexia recovery, or like if you are, we all know the NHS, like, weight loss program when you go for surgery, and all that malarkey. But I would argue that that's like, I'm educating you that you can have these foods. I'm just giving you a little bit of structure around it, so that when I start to work you towards macro targets, and I want to say macro targets, not just calorie targets, because of things like we said about protein and stuff like that. When I kind of phase you into that style, you understand that you can create the meals that you love. So someone on a meal plan for me could be having spag bowl with the kids. They could be cooking a roast dinner, but it's just fitted into a certain few structures and guidelines. And I just feel like that gives people the confidence, rather than starting, coming to me, here's your macros, off you go. And they're going, whoa, how am I going to fit my usual routine? And they start to plug in stuff that doesn't make them feel good. So I personally have a hybrid approach to the answer, and I have pros and cons for both. And I have certain clients, if they're confident with, and I will start them off on a macro target, I might give them a meal plan with the equivalent macros so they can flex between the two. But honestly, a lot of feedback that I get for people that have really life-changing results is, if you hadn't have started me off that way, I would have failed, because I would have given up, because I would have been confused. And I would have felt a little bit out my depth of what I'm doing. And, I don't want to walk into the supermarket and scan everything I'm eating. I don't want to, every single meal in front of my kids, I'm going, hang on a minute, how many potatoes have I had? You've also got to remember, calorie counting is a temporary thing.
Absolutely.
It is not a permanent solution. Calorie counting is a step towards, right, I'm doing this to get me here, and then we're going to do X, Y, Z. The amount of people that calorie count and put themselves in a deficit for years on years on years on years, you're just damaging your body, you're damaging your relationship with food, whether you want to admit it to yourself.
Absolutely, everything.
Metabolic adaptation is a real thing. And I'm not saying like, oh, my metabolism's broken. But if you're constantly dieting, your maintenance drops. And then you start eating more, you're in a surplus, so you gain. And this is why when I say to people, it's so much more than just calories in, calories out. Like, any Tom, Dick and Harry can
Jane
say...
Smith, shut up.
See, I
do quite like him, but that
I
quote, I'm like...
Niche is very away from him. I've got a lot of time for him. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Like, I've listened to a couple of his books.
His Not a Life Coach book is really good. And also his thing on how much people think that, you're better off having a full sugar Diet Coke than a Coke Zero. His analogies on those are really good. But like we just touched on within meal plans, and like you said, it's a temporary thing. I have people that come to me and they're 100 kilos, women, and they say to me, I'm currently tracking my macros at 1,200 calories. I have been for the last 3-4 months. Why aren't I losing weight?
You're not eating 1,200 calories.
Number one, you're not eating 1,200 calories. But I will set them a meal plan, and this is why I sometimes think, let's call it meal structure. I don't tell them what calories are in it. And I've put that at 2,000, and the weight's fallen and fallen and fallen. But if I said to them, I want you to eat 2,000 calories,
throw them.
they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
They would not stick to it. They tell me they were, but they wouldn't. So I don't want to say trick people because that seems really deceiving, but I'm aware of what I'm telling somebody at the beginning because of the brain.
Yeah.
If I turned around to somebody who came to me saying, and I've had clients like 1,200 calories, and I said, right, you're going to eat 2,000, you're going to eat this, that. They'd, like I said, either lie to me that they're doing it.
They panic.
Or they just would go, oh my God, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So at the beginning, a little bit of meal structure.
Yeah.
I just want you to stick to these. I just want you to tick these boxes. Weight comes off. A month later, been eating 2,200 calories.
Yeah.
And that is where the
penny drops.
The penny drops. And that's how I get them out of that rut. So like we touched on, coaching every different client, some people know what they're consuming. And I always say the end goal for me is to curve into macros, curve out of anything and start eating intuitively.
It's a process.
A real process.
And like if you say to someone who has constantly had food rules and things, oh, eat intuitively, that is the dumbest piece of advice ever because
People
they don't know how
there.
to eat intuitively. That's the problem.
And that's the problem why we as a nation and let's use like Western nation, are majority of us overweight and chronically obese because we do not have the intuition because we don't have the education because we've been drilled in every different decade has had something else drilled in.
There's a different rule and like food rules aren't just I have to eat this for my dinner. Food rules are, oh, well, it's not 12 o'clock, so I can't have lunch yet, even though I'm really hungry. Or, oh, I can't have that because I had carbs for breakfast, so I can't have carbs for lunch. Like food rules look different on everyone. And I think it's really important to remember that, like you said, everyone is different. And I think this leads quite nicely as we're talking about like calories and like food rules and stuff like that. Opinions on calories on menus, because that was introduced by the government as their magic button for curing the obesity crisis we're currently facing. What are your thoughts?
Mixed.
I'm the same.
I think there is definitely positive and negatives. I think my overriding answer, if you want a short answer, is I think you should have a choice.
Yes.
I think you should have one side with, one side without, or you ask for a menu with or without. Or when you sit down there, put a selection on the table and you can choose. So I'm going to use an example of, we went for a family meal. It was like the beef eater or something like that. And if I didn't have the calories on that menu as a coach, so someone who's educated in nutrition, I'm looking through, right, we've got a chicken breast with new potatoes and broccoli. Great choice, surely. 1,200 calories. Hang on, that burger over there is 850. But if those calories weren't on that menu, how many people would think they're going for the better option? Salads is the prime example.
My God, yeah.
I'm going to have the chicken Caesar salad. That chicken Caesar salad is twice as many calories as your barbecue bacon stack or whatever it may be. And for that reason, it's opened my eyes as someone who's in the industry of certain restaurants that you can't really go to and eat under 1,000 calories. And if I'm 5'2", I'm in my 50 kilos. That's quite a lot of food in moderation for me for a meal. Versus there is some surprising ones. So like an Italian chain restaurant, I think it's like Zizi or Prezzo. You can go and get like a king prawn linguine. It's like 400 calories.
Yeah.
It's bloody brilliant. But so many people would go, can't order the pasta. Can't order the pasta. So I think the awareness is good. And for example, if you were prepping for a photo shoot or you were really, strong goal at the end of it, wedding, whatever it may be. I quite like the fact that you can pop online and have a look if you want to. But I also sit down at some restaurants, and I think we said about this, like our generation, a lot of women specifically, they have a touchy relationship with food sometimes, even if we're not necessarily disordered eating or whatever it may be. And we sit down at a table and you go, I'm really going to relax, out with my friends, don't want to think about it. And you look at a menu and you go, oh, Christ, I would have ordered that if it didn't have 1,500 calories next to it. And I don't want to know then.
No.
Because I'm there to not think about it. But for my clients that are trying to gain education, helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm very between, but I think we should have a choice. I don't think it should be forced upon us. And I don't think we should be in the dark of what's in our food.
No.
Because like I said, with those certain menus, Christ, that's eye-opening.
I'm very much in two camps with it.
I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, like calories on menus serve a percentage of people and they hinder a certain percentage of people, right? So if I'd had that when I was in recovery, I would never eat at a restaurant because that would terrify me, knowing that that's how many calories I'm consuming in an item of food that I would want. If I'm thinking, So obviously, like, not now because of where I'm at, but if I'm thinking like, oh, I'm going out later, I'm going to have the cheeseburger, and I sit down and I open that menu and cheeseburger, fries and a side salad is 1,400 calories, I'm not choosing the cheeseburger. And then it again puts that restrictive mindset in that I can't have that because that's high. And I think the people that it's meant to be targeting are not the ones taking notice, right? So it's meant to be targeting. No, it's meant to be targeting the community that, this sounds horrible, but are overweight.
Pressure on the NHS, all of the above.
They are the people that will go out and eat because they enjoy to eat. They don't care that their pizza has 1,200 calories in. No,
they've laughed about it.
That's not doing anything for them. Whereas I feel like
it's hindering the people that are struggling.
And I know now, if I go to a restaurant and I see something I want, I'm going to have it because I want it. And it's like, oh, I've got to steal my calories. Going over your calories one day of the week is going to do sweet fuck all in the long run. Like, when you're 90 and you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think back going, so glad I had that meal instead of that. You're going to go, fuck, like, why didn't I just live my life and eat what I want and do what I want and feel good doing it?
So, question. We've just been out for lunch.
Yes.
We've had quite a nice meal.
Oh, very so good.
Meal. If the menus are on, if the menus are on those calories, if the calories are on those menus, would you have changed what you ordered?
In my headspace I'm in now? Really depends on the day.
I agree.
Because
we said we're in a not in a relaxed, like it was a day off. We said we're going to go out for lunch and we're going to enjoy it.
I think, as I've said to you, like, I don't think you ever fully recover. If that had got me on a bad body image day, no.
So if the mash was 5 times the calories of the chips, but you wanted the mash,
on a bad body image day, I probably wouldn't have had it.
You wouldn't have had it.
And that's me being honest. I'm not perfect. Just because I'm a coach, like...
I agree.
You know...
I think completely the same. That was on it today. I was already in the mindset of like I said, this is a day I don't want to know. Because we've gone out, we haven't seen each other for 6 months. We want to relax. Whereas on a day, if I had a photo shoot next week, or, you know, I'd already maybe had a few meals out this week and I want to go, I want to make a better decision, my digestion's a little bit off. I might have wanted to know.
Yeah. And I think with the calories on the menu, whole saga, obviously it blew up when it came out because it was the government's big answer. I'd love to know the stats since they put calories on the menu, how much that's decreased. Does it mean
that they went on and they're now not on very often?
It depends. So a restaurant has to have over 250 employees. So chain restaurants always have them, but a smaller independent restaurant won't because they don't hit that criteria.
You can generally find them if they're not on the menu. You can find them online because you can find them with the allergens and stuff like that.
And you can ask, like, to have a menu without calories. And I would say if you are struggling with your relationship with food, get that one.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna help you any way, shape or form knowing that the pizza that you wanted all day is like your daily calorie intake. Like, it's not gonna be positive for you.
And can we just touch on to education to anybody watching who is unsure? That chef is not weighing out that splash of olive oil in the pan.
It's going to be wrong.
It's not right. It's not accurate.
It's
plus
nothing
or minus
but
20-30%, maybe minimum.
It's nothing but a guidance.
They're not weighing how many chips you've got.
No.
They're not looking at how much oil's been splashed in there. Or, oh, that's a bit dry. Should we add a bit of cream into that?
Yeah.
It's not accurate. Just like your Tesco's meal deal isn't as well. Like everything with a pinch of salt. It's guidance.
Yeah, no calorie number on any packaging is right. Yeah. There's an allowance of a 20% leeway, right or left. Like, and I think it's really important to know that. Like, and that's why your quality of food is so important. Yeah. So important.
Yeah. And cooking from scratch, single ingredient, you know more so what you're putting in.
Exactly.
Right, let's move on to something else.
Go for it.
And something interesting for you with you starting in that era, that kind of sector. Do you think face-to-face PT is dead?
So, I was a face-to-face PT and I only went fully online less than 6 months ago. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I kept doing PT work with some like charities. I worked with like a couple of charities. I worked with a basically like a women's DV unit and I would go there and PT, and I still had a couple of clients that like,
because you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Just because I didn't have the heart to like be like, oh.
Yeah.
But I made the decision to go fully online. I think there's a time and a place for both. If you are looking for an overall transformation... We're not very good at these
answers, are we? Because we're so sitting on the fence.
If you want an overall transformation, you want life-changing results, you're not going to get that seeing a PT once a week. You're not. Like,
let's
period.
talk about maybe what you do get. You maybe get a little bit more confidence within the gym.
Confidence in the gym, accountability, because you've got to turn up and be there, because if you're not, you're still paying your PT because it's their time.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything else.
I agree.
Um,
Form, technique, safety, learning the principles. But for me, like you said, if you want that lifestyle transformation, you need more than 2 hours of accountability per week.
And I'll tell you what, I worked in a gym.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good gym. I saw PTs delivering the same session hour
To
after hour.
60-year-old Mary to 18-year-old Sophie. Yeah.
Because you're not paid well enough. They don't actually, well, okay, that's harsh. They don't give a shit. They do. But
talking generic here.
Yeah,
no
generic.
Personal.
It's very easy to qualify to become a personal trainer
If you
now.
can count to 10, you can be a PT.
Yeah, right?
I couldn't even do that.
It was always like, oh, you're a personal trainer. Like, oh, you must be a bit stupid. Like,
yeah.
I think if you want overall transformation, it's not for you. If you just want a bit of accountability, you want to be shown how to exercise safely and effectively, and you want to have a bit of a chat and have a bit of a rent-a-friend, cool, face-to-face PT.
Completely agree.
If you want to redefine your whole relationship with food, relationship with exercise, your knowledge, your education, have a community, have accountability 24/7. And I know coaches say 24/7. I will reply to messages at 6 a.m. or 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'm so bad. Like,
no, I agree.
But
because you care, and that's why.
If a client has a problem, I want to fix it.
Yeah.
If they've messaged me going, oh my God, I'm going out for dinner tonight and I don't know what to have and I'm panicking, I'm like, whoa, answer your phone, let's talk about it, let's diffuse the situation. You don't get that with a face-to-face PT because they're being paid for that hour.
You're not going to see them till next Wednesday.
No.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if you, like you said, with a transformation, that is not happening with two hours out of however many hours. I'm not going to try and do that maths that are in the week.
I think it's 162.
Right.
I think it's
so take off your sleeping time. Let's say if you've only got out 2 hours of accountability out of the 100 of the time that you're awake and you're able to make decisions or whatever that may be, that's not enough.
Sweet fuck all.
That is literally not enough. And you need accountability in every other aspect, from your daily movement, like whether that be steps or encouraging you to take the stairs or whatever it may be. What are you putting in your mouth after you've been to the PT? If you're going for fat loss and you're getting McDonald's on the way home to reward yourself, the results are going to be naffle.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it's dead because I think there's a time and a place. I just think people are very much realizing that it's sometimes not enough dependent on your goal.
Bottom line is, if you want to save money, you want more accountability, you want more time and connection, you want a community.
Click the link in my bio now.
An online coach is your answer.
I agree. Right. Let's go a little bit more personal about work-wise.
Okay.
Let's stop being controversial for a second. What's the best thing about your job?
I get to live life on my own terms. I don't have to answer to anybody. I have a team. Like, I change people's lives every day, and that sounds so like
Cliche,
big-headed and cliche, but like getting a message off a woman being like, I've just been out for dinner and I've eaten what I've wanted, that is mega. I get to like walk the dog on my lunch break. I get to work with my partner. Like, that's pretty cool. And I just get to call the shots on everything that happens within AKG Fit. And I'm not very good at answering to people.
I would so not be employable right now. But I went to a job interview. I'd be telling them what I want, how I want it.
Yeah.
Like, Kerry, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Completely agree with so many aspects from... And I think it's something you touched on in the previous point. I don't have a daily work schedule of when I can help somebody. I can help somebody whether I'm on a family holiday and I've got to drop them a message back that stops them having a really bad day.
Yeah.
Or I can also go, I mean, we all know I'm a bit of a sun worshipper. I can still help people from wherever I am in the world or wherever they are in the world. So when I was physio, and similar to you with like one-to-one PT, I'm stuck with the people that are in like a 10-mile radius. I now have no cap on who I can help. You've got clients globally, and I can help them wherever I am. And I think a big thing like you touched on was the freedom and the flexibility of being your own boss. I think we'll both fully admit we are so unemployable now. Yeah. It would not even be a thing.
I don't think I could work for someone anymore.
But I love that our job just has to be done. It doesn't have to be done in a time. It doesn't have to be done. I don't have to work 9 to 5. I get up really early. I'm on my laptop like 7. But I'll go to the gym when it's quiet at 10.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm
Or
able
like,
to take...
you can like
yeah.
just pop out for lunch.
Yeah.
Like,
I can meet my nan for a cup of tea in the middle
that's
of
the
the day.
coolest thing. Like,
Yeah.
me and James will finish up like some programming and be like, should we go out for lunch?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
But
we
then
can.
It's okay to work a couple of hours into evenings, do a group call at 8 p.m. on an evening. And I think that is such a good thing. And I just think, like we touched on the reasons why we do our job is so fulfilling, so rewarding. And that's not us. I'm sure we'll touch that on the next point, saying that it's easy, because it definitely isn't. We need a deload to each other quite a lot, which is nice to have like a colleague. But our job is so rewarding. And honestly, on a check-in, and I ask people what are their 3 biggest wins for the week or what's their non-scale victory, I've cried at those messages multiple times. And I remember having an offboarding call with somebody who had finished up their journey, who had smashed it, and she said, you haven't just helped me, my whole family is healthier. And without you, then we just would not have been able to do something like that.
No.
So what's the worst thing about your job?
Again, this is going to sound so cliche, but I don't think there is. Like, I think because now I'm so picky about who I work with.
Is that because is that now? Was there negatives before?
Yeah. 100%. Before I had the confidence to be like, no, I like we're not vibing. I don't want to work with you. I would say I would bring people in because it paid the bills.
I agree. You at the start you have to say yes to everything.
Yeah, because you have to also find your niche. I didn't just wake up one day and go, I want to do this. I found it over time.
Yeah, I worked with everybody to start with and worked out who gets me excited to get out in the morning.
Exactly that. I think not the worst part, but I think if I wasn't in the headspace I am now, I would probably struggle with some of the things that clients tell me. I get told very personal stuff. And
it's a lot.
It can be emotionally it has been emotionally quite draining. But I'm now in a headspace where when my laptop goes off, when I shut down my computer, like, I'm not thinking about it. Whereas before I couldn't detach.
I was going to say that comes with time and experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Time and experience, knowledge, and setting boundaries.
Boundaries,
like
1,000,000%.
2023 was a huge year of boundaries for me. I was like, no one's taking me for a ride this year.
Because every negative I would have said as little as 6 months ago, I'm learning.
Yeah.
So every negative I would have said is, like you said, it's very hard to not switch off.
Yeah.
And I've touched on this so many times. I am such an anal obsessive person that makes me so good at what I do, but it makes me very difficult to shut off.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse.
100%. If I haven't finished my check-ins on, say, like a set time, and I give my clients 48 hours to receive their check-in. If I haven't finished them on that day, or I've left 2 people's, I think, well, I'm not leaving you 2.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that in the morning. Or I'll get up at 5 in the morning because I want them to have it by the time they wake up. And I need to realise that they don't care.
No.
They're doing a school run. They don't mind how it comes back. Or, I might be on holiday and I haven't got very good signal, so my replies might be 4 hours instead of 2 hours. And I'm like kicking myself, and I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I realise they don't care.
No.
As long as they know you're there for the support.
Exactly.
So my biggest negatives would have been it's very difficult to switch off. Like, for example, we both, I think, do weekly check-ins.
Yeah.
I can't go on holiday for 7 days and not look at my phone and not work.
See, so for the first time this year, I took 5 days off over Christmas.
Christmas I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But could you book a holiday to Spain for a week? No, because you got your check-in day within that. I might push it back, push it forward so I can try. But you're going to be there supporting people while you're switching off.
That's it. Like, I wouldn't do like a full-blown video. I would like voice note or type it out, but I would still give someone that.
Still a couple of hours out of your holiday while your family are down by the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what they need. That's why they've come to us. Like,
at the end of the day, it's not a pay-per-hour job.
No.
It's a service that we promise to deliver. So I agree there's not a huge amount of negatives, and I think we're both being better at the negatives that there are. Big controversial one.
Go on.
And it's something we talk about quite a lot. And it's probably something that maybe somebody thought about us at the beginning.
Yeah.
Every Tom, Dick and Harry becoming an online coach.
Okay. So, I have had a lot of clients come to me from other coaches.
Yeah.
And I've been told a lot of things. And it really fucks me off. I think there's a negative there's a negative perception of online coaches, right?
And this is touching on what we said about it's unregulated and everything like that.
Anyone could be an online coach. And what's happening is the people that blew up in lockdown that, again, posted pictures of them in gym wear, looking great, like not saying like don't do that. Now got 200, 300k. I'm opening up online coaching. Where are your motherfucking qualifications? Like, where's the piece of paper?
But what's painful is you don't need it.
No.
They're not actually doing anything wrong.
No.
Because, so for anybody watching that isn't aware, you do not need a single qualification or any insurance to be an online coach.
And you know what baffles me, right? When you are coaching someone, you are in charge of their body. Like the most precious thing to them on this planet. Like you're in charge of that and you're doing that unqualified. Like it makes me angry. And especially within my niche, how many female online coaches have you seen that their bio is like, we can help fix your mindset with food? No, you fucking can't. You're not qualified to. Like the amount of qualifications I have in that field, I'm telling you now, very high likelihood they don't have them, or there's a very high likelihood that they say that and then what they're doing is the total opposite. Like I've had women come to me from those types of coaches and they've told me things and I've just sat there in calls and gone, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry someone put you through that. And like the bad coaches will die off because it won't be enough anymore.
They do. Like I'm not going to make it very obvious because I know who I mean. Like I see, coach on Instagram, I'm looking for my next 5 clients, do this 6-week transformation, whatever it may be. And they're painting this picture to Instagram that they're full time, that they've got 100 clients, whatever it may be. And then you pop down your local coffee shop and there they are working behind the counter. And that's not a dig because everybody has to start somewhere. But you're not painting that picture because I think the reason why it's so saturated, and I think it's saturated short term. I would love to know the stats, but I don't think many people make it past a year.
I was told on the first day of my PT course, there were 16 of us in there. I did a full-time PT course. I didn't do any of this online stuff. I did a full-time PT course and there was 16 of us sat around the table and he said only 2 of you will still be in the industry in a year's time.
And I think that's probably worse online.
Yeah.
Because I think people see it as this holy like mecca. Like they see it as, oh my God, look at her. She's on holiday, working away on her laptop. Like she's in a coffee shop having a coffee, but she's tapping away on her laptop. She's got to send a couple of messages a day. All she's got to do is find someone's calories and give them to her. And I think people think it's really easy. And I think that's where most people go wrong. I have quite a lot of new coaches and you probably have the same, like message me and go, any advice at the start? And I will give as much advice as I can possibly give. I'm not a business coach, but I will help. But the one thing I would say is do not think that it's easy.
No.
Because it really isn't.
I think what people see, like you said, is that glorified side of it. Like, oh, I'm on holiday, like, da-da-da.
Well, they don't in Dubai or they're over here, they're doing that. And like we said, it's a quick, they only do 2 hours a day on their laptop. They only do a couple of check-ins a week. They only work 2 days a week. And I'm like, that's what I thought at the start.
See, I think because I had done the whole face-to-face PT thing and I had to make those conversations with people on the gym floor and I had to be at the gym for 5:30 in the morning and like finish at 10 o'clock at night. Like I would like go sit in the staff room and like just lay on the sofa in between clients. Like I knew going into it was not going to be easy. Like I think people don't see the element of like constantly supporting clients, but you also have to support yourself and the people that are around you and that you care about. You're supporting their training, but you've also got to continue to look after yourself. Because there was a spot when I was coaching where, I was face-to-face PT and like dabbling in online. I literally didn't go to the gym because I did not have time. And I know it's like, but you can find the time. No. I did not have the time. And I let myself get into a really bad spot with fitness and nutrition. And I was sat there, like I spoke to my partner and I was like, oh my God, like I'm telling people to rest. I'm telling people to switch off. I'm telling people to like, feel good within themselves. And I'm not doing that. Like that's so hypocritical of me.
I completely agree. And it's that kind of analogy that you were constantly filling up other people's cups, that your cup was becoming more and more empty. And I still go through times of that. And I think, when you care about your business, you do. Yeah. So beginning of January was a hugely busy time. I had like 15 clients to set up within a week, then regular clients check-ins, then making sure that everybody's got everything back after Christmas. I literally spoke to my own coach and was like, I haven't been to the gym this week because I haven't it's a lot, and my cup was so empty. So I had to aeroplane mode my phone. I think I booked a hot yoga class and just went, I need to recharge a little bit. I need to plug those batteries back in. And I had literally only like 15 clients less than I do now, which I'm doing full time. I was full time physio. Like I was in clinic.
You're a crackhead.
I was in clinic like 12 till 8, and I was on my laptop 6 a.m. till 12, like 6 a.m. till 8 p.m, getting home at 9, getting back to messages. A big reality check for me was I got like tonsillitis repetitively, kept getting injured.
You were run down.
My body was screaming at me
To stop.
And it's not until I did it that I now actually am a better coach, because my cup is more full.
Your clients are paying for your fuck ups, right?
It's true. Yeah,
your clients are coming to you because you've not done it in the right way, right? But it's the same here.
I'm going to help them do it without making the mistakes that I made.
Yeah. And like when I initially set out on my like weight loss journey, and we obviously all know how that transpired, but when I set out on my weight loss journey, I did a massive post about it literally today. I cut out a different food group every month because that's what I thought I had to do. Like, I gave up chocolate. I didn't touch chocolate for 7 years. Do you know how mental that is? 7 years I didn't eat chocolate. I don't do
chocolate for 7 hours.
Yeah, because I was so fixated in my head. If I ate chocolate, I would gain weight, because I lost weight when I stopped eating chocolate. No, I lost weight because I put myself in a calorie deficit.
So if you could help one client with that, that would be like
life. Like honestly,
but goal tick done.
I had a client come to me when she joined. Like, she's in her 50s, yo-yo dieter, been up and down, relationship with food was like on the floor. And the one thing she said to me, she was like, I just want to eat potatoes and not feel shit about it.
I was just going to say to you, client in their 50s, difficult, because they've been through generations. They've been through the 90s diets, the noughties diets.
It's a lot to unpack.
They've been through exercise DVDs that tell them that if they lift weights, they're going to look like a man, and it's all this high rep, low weight rubbish. Like, I'm just replicating someone to maybe like my mom or friend's mom, and it's all these things that are in their head, and it's always the same. It's, you can't get bulky because you can't lift weight because you'll get manly. You can't eat carbs, can't eat after 6 p.m, can't eat after 8 p.m, whatever how they say.
Wild like that.
Fun fact that I found out the other day that really made me laugh, and it's probably our generation. You know that whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Do you know who made that quote?
Who?
Kellogg's. That's true.
Who did the Special K diet?
Who did the Special K diet?
All you ate was Special K.
Who branches out that this... Every single person in this world has heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
I say it all the time.
Yeah. Kellogg's. So we buy more flipping Special K? Like,
hilarious.
Kellogg's. When I found that, I literally felt like I'd been mugged off. Like, I was like, that is marketing to its finest.
This is it. Like, we see all these diets pop up, and like the majority... I'm sure the same with you, like the majority of women that come to us have done all of these different diets.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done keto, I've done slim fast, I've done Cambridge, I've done it all.
And this woman that I'm working with at the moment, before she came to us, she was on like 1,200 calories, 27-ish thousand steps a day, works on a farm, lives on a farm, on her feet all the time.
11,
and I literally said to her, when she said about the whole potatoes thing, I was like, okay, I'm going to get you eating potatoes. And she sent me a picture of her plate, and it was like roast beef, Yorkshire puddings, like dauphinoise potatoes, like all of this stuff, and I literally cried. And she just put, I fucking did it, I ate potatoes. And I was like, that shit makes me like, I'd feel some kind of way.
I'd take that over a freestone weight loss.
Oh my God,
any day. Like when someone said that they managed to go swimming and wore swimwear with their little one in the pool, incredible. When someone said, Kerry, I now don't have to take high blood pressure medication.
I think that is a whole topic we should discuss. Why it's important to celebrate non-scale victories and progress that has nothing to do with the size of your clothing or the number on the scale.
You just touched on being the fat kid at school. And potentially, that was obviously one of the biggest negative probably periods of your life, about being the fat kid at school. And I just want to touch on something maybe different that other people might be able to relate to is I wasn't the fat kid at school.
Yeah.
I've always played sport and I've always been quite small.
You were the kid that I hated at school.
But I went to uni, and like I've touched on multiple times, it actually started from a netball injury. That's the one. But it also was 12-hour days in the library, and it was coffee and sweets and stuff that got you through.
Late nights.
Yeah. Food got you through those stints. Like not gonna lie. Also, no money, alcohol, whatever it may be. I gained a lot of weight at uni. So I went from not being the fat kid to being the fat person. And I'm not saying I was the biggest by any stretch of imagination. Like I don't want people to think, oh, for God's sake. But I was so used to not being that person. It was very difficult to then become that person. And I also think that was probably a struggle within itself. And I'm not saying one is easier than the other. But what I'm saying is you had that kind of nurtured into you from a young age, which is horrendous. But sometimes that switch both ways is just as bad because you're not used to it. You don't know how to dress for it. You don't know how to deal with it. And all of a sudden you're in your 20 and you've got this new found body and you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to deal with negative comments. You don't know how to deal with maybe not getting the attention that you necessarily want to get from boys in the club or whatever it may be.
Because I never got that.
Yeah.
When I started to get it, I was like, this is because I'm smaller.
And that fueled.
And it fueled it.
It's crazy.
And I was all of a sudden, the popular girls at college were starting to notice me more. And oh my God, you look so
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
And like, I was literally starving myself. And because I went from like, I was really small as like a little kid. I was tiny. Like, and again, people were like, oh, you're so small. So already my body was being commented on. Then from like 3, 4, 5, then 8, 9, no, like 10, 11, 12, ballooned, gained like a scary amount of weight.
Do you know why that was?
Why that was? I turned to food. Deep. My parents split up. And food was my comfort.
You don't have to go into it. I just think it would be relatable for somebody with maybe a child at that age.
I didn't have a lot of friends. And food became like a comfort thing. And it became like I felt good eating. So I would eat more. And I would secret eat. And I would binge eat. And I gained a lot of weight. And then I got to a point that I was like, this has to stop. Like, you are not okay. Went to the doctors and they were like, okay, I was told them what was going on. And they were like, okay, let's put you on a diet.
Wow.
So the system failed me then.
Yeah.
And then I lost 5 stone and I didn't do it in the right way, as I've said. And I got to a point where like I was vegan because that was an easy way of restricting because it was no longer, I don't want that. It's, I can't have that. I'm vegan.
So social occasions, family meals.
I can't. Like, it was a really easy tap out. Oh, there's nothing on the menu. Because I was vegan at a time where it wasn't really a thing.
Yeah. It wasn't
like,
easy
it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
So I went from like super big to super small. And again, like,
when you were super small, so when you got your compliments, that's where you got your feedback, positive feedback, so positive reinforcement of what you were doing, even though nobody knew what you were doing. Positive reinforcement of, oh my God, you look so well, you look so healthy, and you were probably the most unhealthy you'd ever been.
Most unhealthy and the most unhappy. Like,
wild.
Genuinely, probably some of the darkest years of my life. Like,
but from the outside,
everything was fine.
She looks great. She looks fit. She looks healthy.
She's going to the gym. Like, I was a size 4 to 6 at one point. And like, I can't even fathom that now.
Yeah. So your weight loss came from mainly food restriction.
Yeah.
Do you have a negative relationship, or did you have a negative relationship with exercise? Because this is something I want to touch on with a lot of people see eating disorders and being underweight or being overweight or whatever it is always within food. But like, it came out, did you watch that Freddie Flintoff documentary about bulimia?
Yes. So
and one of the big things he said was like, there's a few different ways. It could be laxatives. Yeah. It could be purging, so making yourself sick.
I've done it all.
But it could also be going to the gym the next morning, working out what calories you had for dinner and watching that number on the treadmill. And that's something that I wouldn't call previously bulimia. But it's a different, obviously he branched it all in an umbrella term, but that's just as damaging as sticking your fingers down your throat.
So my cycle was, so this is when I was like at my smallest. I was at performing arts college. So I'd get up to go to the gym like before my mum was awake. I'd come home, I'd get ready, I'd go off to college, I'd dance for 3 hours.
Did she know you were going to the gym?
Sometimes she didn't. Or if I went in the morning, then when I'd get home, I'd lie.
So it was secret again. So just as much secret eating.
Yeah, it was
secret exercising.
And then I would go to dance like 2-3 hours, not really eat much because again, vegan. I can't have that. I can't do this.
Do you think the education industry with the dance community and the gymnastics community and the ballet community, like ballet, let's not even,
Well, this is the thing. So this is why I'm kind of like a cookie cutter in that sense. Like I fit all of those stereotypes because when I was younger, I competed in gymnastics at county level before I got fat. Then I got fat and I hated exercise and I used to bunk off and I used to hide in the changing room and I used to come last and everything and I'd always get picked last for netball teams and da-da-da-da. I then found like theatre and music and dance, obviously went off to arts college and then ballet, tap, contemporary.
And that the smaller you are, the better.
And like I was again surrounded by tall, blonde, skinny, beautiful girls and I was the short stumpy brunette. So I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
So
and
that's where you try and change yourself again.
Yeah. And I would like you said, I would literally just like exercise to burn calories. It would be like the more I could burn, the better. And
HIIT, cardio,
yeah,
how high can your heart rate go,
all of that, like
how sweaty can you be,
literally,
how much can you weigh the next day.
And I think people they've branched now a new disorder. They've named it orthorexia, which is an obsession with healthy eating and exercise. And
that's a really difficult term for me because obsession is a really funny word.
Yeah.
I don't think an obsession is always a negative.
No. But I think
it's a very fine line.
If it's damaging your health,
yeah,
then I would say it is.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, it is a fine line. And I think the issue is as we said earlier, like an eating disorder doesn't have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, but like you look normal, you can't have an eating disorder. So the system failed me when I was younger and I was overweight because they told me to go on a diet. The system then failed me when I was in and out of therapy and I was telling the doctor, like, I'm at breaking point here. I don't know what to do. Like, without sounding dark, there was times where I was like, the world would be better without me. Like, I was so caught up in this, like, headspace. And I said, like, I am struggling here. They put me on antidepressants. And they were like,
stick a plaster on that.
Yeah.
Let's mess that. Yeah.
And they were like, but you're not underweight. And I remember that moment so clearly, stepping on those scales and being annoyed that I wasn't. So then it pushed me further. So then I kept pushing. I was like, I'm going to get under that threshold. So I'm going
to get underweight. So you help me. That is, I don't know, it's the same with binge eating and stuff. Oh, you're a binge eater, but you're not overweight. Oh, okay. So I'm going to get myself overweight. So you actually help me.
And binge eating, and this is really interesting. Binge eating often stems from negative relationships. So the idea of binge eating, and I need to make sure I get this right, but if you binge consistently, you gain weight. So if you gain weight in your head, obviously this isn't always the case, but in your head you are unattractive to people. When you're unattractive to people, you won't put yourself in a position to be in a relationship. Therefore, you can't put yourself in a position to get hurt again. So it's I only learned about this recently, but it really struck a chord because majority of women that come to us with a binge eating issue have either been cheated on, have a damaged relationship with one of their parents, or have a very sort of like up and down relationship with their current partner. So there's a lot to be said about your relationship with food stems from a lot of the relationships around you. So that's why you've got to surround yourself with good people. Like, I'm sure
you're in, like, I mean, we said environment.
I'm sure you've had clients come to you and be like, oh, my husband doesn't like get it.
Yeah.
And
the people, I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, but for a lot of people, their biggest saboteurs are like the closest people to them. Their husband may make remarks about, what they look like in a bikini, or the fact that they won't have sex without the lights off, or snide remarks about, I don't know, a double chin, just really, I'm talking really general. And they're the ones pushing these, it works both ways, but I'd say specifically women to make changes, diet, fad diets, restriction, restringent purge, or whatever, restrict and purge, whatever that may be. But then these people reach out to somebody like us, try and get some help. And I don't know about you, but a lot of the time it's, oh, my husband wanted us to get a Chinese, or my husband wanted us to do this, or my husband did, bought us home loads of chocolate and said, oh, you're being boring, don't miss out. And I think, oh my God, mate, make your mind up. You're not making this very easy for her at all.
No. Or they start to get funny when their partner starts getting attention, or
they're getting better shape.
Their partner is looking a little bit better than them,
and they're a bit more attractive to maybe more people, or get a bit more attention.
Suddenly they're the women on the beach that the men are staring at, that he's probably looking at. And I'm not saying all men are this, that and the other, But
It's true.
a lot of the time we work with women, so like you specialise in women, I specialise in women. I'm sure it's different for coaches that specialise in men, but we can only talk from experience. Hello. Your partner should be your biggest support.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. My partner's a fucking legend, and when he watches this back, he's going to be like, yeah. But I think if I didn't have the right people around me, I would be in a very different space, because I've been in relationships before where I wasn't supported and my journey got stunted because I wasn't given what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same with some of your clients of like, women will come to you, I want to lose weight, on the consultation call, oh, but I need to speak to my husband.
100%. And do you think men say that they need to speak to their wife?
No.
And it's interesting, like you say, about reassurance from like the partner that they want to do these things. And this is where I try and say to a lot of people, when I like onboard someone and I go through some tactics that can help with maybe some better ways to cook or whatever that may be, really simple tactics, I say you need to share these with the people around you, because everybody around you has got to see what page you're on. And I had a lady say the other day that she went out for a meal and she really not got a big education on nutrition, so we looked through the menu and I didn't tell her what to have, but I said, right, this would be a great option because of this, or this would be a great option because of this would really suit your goals, this is great for your digestion. And we went through some suggestions and she kind of went and she kind of knew what she wanted. We found her an option that she wanted, not, it wasn't the chicken salad. And she sat down, and I think she had a bit of upset stomach earlier in the day, and she sat down and go, I'm just going to have a main course. And the way everybody at that table made her feel, because she didn't want a dessert, and she said to me, Kerry, I did not have a dessert because of the calories, because I was on a diet, because I was trying to lose weight. Had a dessert. I didn't have a dessert because I didn't flipping want one.
And that is almost as damaging. So this is where I don't think people should comment on what someone's eating.
1 million%.
It's none of your fucking business what I'm eating, just like it's none of my business what you're eating. I think it's almost worse of like, you're not going to eat that.
Yeah.
As, are you eating all that?
But that doesn't happen as often, because if I ordered a chicken salad, being very generic, it won't mind me saying, no, or people around go, why are you having a salad?
Yeah.
You're on a diet.
Oh, you're boring.
Yeah, you're on a diet. You're trying to, you don't need to lose weight. If I ordered a burger with 2 extra sides, no one would say anything, because I suppose it goes both ways. They either would or they wouldn't. But for me, eating healthily and eating clean and eating fresh, varied ingredients, home cooked food, is that what I'm trying to say? Is seen as a diet. Is seen eating healthily, or we eat so unhealthily that eating healthily is being seen as a diet, and people question it.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, when you're on your journey, everybody around you, they don't need to know the depths of it. They don't need to know the ins and outs, but just being able to say, and this is what I said to that lady at the meal, she came out of that meal feeling crap because of what other people had said. Yeah. And I said, I promise you in 6 months' time, those people will look at you feeling more confident, feeling healthier, and will say, how did you do that?
A lot of the time it's jealousy as well.
Because you've got the control that they haven't.
Yeah. And like so many people, like I gave up drinking.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, like for a good chunk of my life I just didn't drink. And I lost a lot of friends because of it. Oh my God, you're so boring. Like, oh my God, just have a drink.
They don't mind when you're the designated driver though, do they?
And and like I was like, I'm not drinking because I don't want to drink because it doesn't make me feel good.
It's actually a really good book that if anybody's watching this, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's about being okay to not drinking, and that's just as normal as having a drink. So I'm not a big drinker. I drink every 2-3 months, and I will openly admit I have a good blowout when I do, but that's how I choose to drink. I do it for a friend's birthday or my birthday or a holiday or a wedding. But I don't go to the pub every weekend. No. I don't sit and drink gin and tonic or wine at home. And I almost have to explain myself more that I don't drink versus why I do drink.
Yeah, I'd
agree. Christmas, I think we had a Bellini to start with. Great, had one, love it. And then I go into Diet Coke because I prefer it. And or on a holiday or something, I get more questions why I'm not drinking than ever.
Yeah.
I think, when did that happen?
Like, also, why do you care? Yeah. Like, why does it affect you?
I just think people around need to be very careful. And it's always, Uncle Bill at the end of the table who's 6 stone overweight that's trying to give me diet advice and tell me what I should and shouldn't be having. And I just think,
I had
my
such
God.
a good one recently.
Go on.
So I've almost left the industry quite a few times. Because I'm not the smallest of people. I'm, as you would call thick, right? I've got thick thighs.
Yeah.
I've got a bum on me. I'm proud of it.
I feel like people used to, I'm not saying you directly, but I feel like that's a really difficult term to explain because people used to say she's big boned.
Yeah.
She's chunkier.
Yeah.
And I think there's not a right word to describe it, but thick has almost become a compliment. Let's thank the Kardashians for that one. Or
yeah. And I've almost left the industry a few times, and
because of that.
Yeah. Because I've felt like, oh, people judge me like I'm my own advert, like no one's going to want to come to me, da da da. And I remember there's two massive like key points. There was a girl once, was in a Wetherspoons, and she was like, oh, what do you do? I was like, I'm a personal trainer. She went, you're a personal trainer? I will never forget that, right? And then there was another time, and this was like reaffirming why I need to stay in the industry. I'm sat, a few friends, one of my mates' dads there. Flip phone case. Oh, you heard about these fat loss tomatoes? And I thought, here we fucking go. And
a tomato.
And I was just like, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. She's going, oh, yeah, if you eat these tomatoes, like, instantly drop weight. And I'm thinking, first of all, with all due respect, you're overweight. You're not very healthy.
Yeah.
How dare you be giving diet advice?
So it's always older men to young girls.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so my just like 15 qualifications just irrelevant then. Like,
just get tomato.
Should I get my picture frames out? But there's so many times where like people have said stuff and it's reminded me why I do this job, because I'm like, I want to eradicate those thoughts and opinions. Like I want to show people they're not true. We need to go back to non-scale victories.
Yeah, we do. We need to go back to that
because we've not
touching
gone
on
back to that.
What you just said. Just on that, let's round up that topic where you said, questioned about being a personal trainer because of size. So we met 6 months ago at a networking business event. I was 3 days out from a photo shoot. I felt really good. Not gonna lie, felt really good. I am going to the networking event tomorrow, so we're 6 months on. Networking business event, whatever you want to call it. I'm a stone heavier. And in my head, I feel less
authoritative.
Yeah, I feel a little bit more of an imposter than when I walked in lean as a bean.
But that's how I felt in July. I remember walking in, and it was a really bad body image day. I remember walking in and thinking, I'm the biggest one in this room. And I wasn't. No. But in my head, I was.
But you're one of the best coaches.
Stop it.
But but it's crazy how even in the industry and having what I would say I have good body image, I have a good relationship with my body image now, it's still thought about it, and 100%. I still thought what I'm going to wear, because we're in a room full of people that I don't even want to say no, they're shit, because we've spoken about that before, but we're in a room full of people where we, like you said, we're an advertisement for our work, and I am not shoot lean 24/7, but I just happened to be a couple of days before that event.
But no one's going to remember that.
Nobody knows. It's me.
Like, I wouldn't look at you and say that you were also heavier.
But last year, I think it was really hot. I had a little tank top on. My shoulders were really defined. I had compliments multiple times throughout the day. And I'm not saying that's what I get out of bed for, not at all. But I'm just saying that won't be the same tomorrow. But I'm okay with that, because I know my process of what I'm trying to do with my body and my image and stuff at the moment. But it's crazy that it's even popped into my head, and it has popped into my head. I'm not going to lie.
But I've got to see someone that I've not seen in 4 years. I'm obviously bigger then. And my little voice popped in my head and went, they're going to judge you because you've gained weight.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I fucking thought.
Yeah. I agree.
Do you know how mental that is? And that's me sat here as a coach of almost 6 years going, I still struggle. Yeah. I'm normal. Yeah. Like, I get it. And it's bad that, yes, I have thought like that, and I very quickly talked myself out of it. But, like, I'm a real person. I still have those, like, I put these leggings on this morning. I thought, oh, okay, hang on.
Yeah. So you mean but I think you just hit the nail on the head. The difference is, previously, I might not have gone to the event if I felt like that. And, or I'm just using it as an example, like, you might not have gone and met that friend. But now the voice comes, you address it, and you move on from it, and you take it away, and you just think it's about validating yourself and being confident in yourself.
Like, no one, like I said earlier, like, when you're like 80, 90, no one's actually going to remember if you had a fucking thigh gap or you had a six-pack. Like, no one cares.
No. It's similar to, like, I'm going away next week. My holiday pictures are going to look different to the last time I went away, when I was lean as a bean. But when am I happier? Now. Just being able to go for a lovely lunch with multiple sides, no restriction. And I need to be okay with that. And I am okay with that.
You can't heal if, like, you hate the person that you're with every day. You are with your brain every second of every day, of every week, of every year of your life. If that's not a happy place, I can bet you money that's not going to be a happy place. It can be the smallest version of yourself and the most unhappy, or you can be a bit bigger. I'm a bit bigger now. I'm the happiest and healthiest I have ever been.
Social
and I would
life
take
is
that.
so much better. Relationships are so much better. Family life is so much better. Just a quick question on, before we go back to non-scale victories.
Yes.
Just a quick question on that. You know, we're in the coaching business. We do it. We both do it. Confidence shoots.
Yes.
How do you feel about potentially... So I was very selective with my confidence shoot about people who I know were okay to approach about that, and you were probably similar. I've spoken to a client that came from a different coach who felt like they were forced in front of that camera in underwear or bra and shorts, and how, you know, we can say I'm confident, but I'm also not going to stand in front of a camera in my underwear and things like that. And that kind of industry thing is like showcasing all of this work. Pros and cons of them? I think it's when it's a confidence shoot, it's a pro. When it's how much content can I get out of these people and shove them in front of a camera when they look like they're a deer in the headlights.
So whenever we do shoots, we always say to people, bring as many sets you want, bring the underwear, you don't have to use it. But it's there if you've got the option. And we always do like the gym studio stuff first. That gets people like...
I was going to say, how many people don't think they're going to wear it?
Oh, everyone.
And wear it.
And then everyone does. And like, even myself... I took my loungewear on the day of my shoot and I was like, I'm not getting in it, but I'm taking it because if I don't have it, then I can't do it. And I got 2 hours into my shoot and I was like, I am the fittest, sexiest, like best looking woman on the planet. I was like, get me in my underwear, get me in front of that camera. And I gave it all the sass. And like, I'd do it again.
Personal shoot.
Love. And I'd do it again.
You were lying on those weights.
Yeah. And I said to my clients, I was like, guys, if to break the ice, like I'm not dieting or anything, or like, you know, cutting
for a
shoot at the moment, but I'm gonna jump in front of that camera as I am now in my underwear to show them like you can do it. It doesn't matter.
And I think negatives with shoot. So it's something obviously a new client might find a little bit daunting. I did a gym shoot. I mean, there's content all over my page. You would have seen it. Always wear black shorts, red sports bra. It's like my signature look. Walked into that shoot and I did it in a gym and I felt so unworthy to be in a gym with a photographer. Give me 5 minutes. I strutted out of that shoot like I was the bitch. Like
my head was so big. It actually didn't fit through the door.
That confidence stays with you. I think it's the most empowering thing anybody could ever do.
But that's the confidence I want to unlock in people when we do shoots. I don't care how much weight you've lost. I don't care what size your leggings are.
Or if they tell me those aren't going on social media, I don't care. This is for you. And I think that's the difference versus this has got to go on social media. I'm going to shove a camera in your face.
And like I always say to clients, like if I post before and after, I will always ask them before and I will always send them the caption before for them to give it the all clear, because it's their body and it's their journey. And I don't agree with coaches putting it in the small print on their like terms and conditions. We'll use all your stuff for social media. I don't think that's fair, because someone, let's face it, everyone signs the T's and C's without actually reading it, right? And then all of a sudden, so and so's bikini shot's up and they don't want it to be up. You've got a problem on your hands. Like, so I think it's really important. I think confidence shoots are a necessity for people. I had a woman 2 weeks out going, I'm not doing it. And I was like, just come on the day. You don't have to do it. Just come on the day. She arrived and she was like, I'm going to do it.
Stripping off, ready to go.
And then she did the underwear stuff and I was like, fuck yeah. And she's doing the next one.
Love that. Right. Let's talk about non-scale victories.
So,
first of all, what do you mean by that? Because that means something to everybody different.
So to me, a non-scale victory is any success you have to do with your health and fitness or mindset that has nothing to do with the number on the scale, right?
Should we say clothes size as well?
Yeah. I am considered overweight, right, by the BMI scale. I am considered...
We could talk about the BMI scale, but let's not.
I'm considered overweight by quite a chunk, right? I know I'm not. I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm strong, whatever. If I stepped on that scale and I was in a bad headspace with my body and I hadn't seen it moved, and I'd worked hard all week. I'd eaten really
Ticked all your boxes.
well. I ticked all my boxes and nothing's happened. I'm going to feel deflated. So what we do, so on our check-in form, we'll say, what is your non-scale victory this week? And we'll get responses like, I ate a meal guilt-free. I slept 8 hours every single night. I put on a dress that I wouldn't normally buy in a shop and I felt good in it. Or like, my 5K run was faster this time.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to celebrate what your body can do and what it's capable of, not just the size of it and the way it looks.
Or what it can't. I didn't manage to do that this week.
Yeah.
Same, we always ask, what are your 3 biggest wins? And I don't mind if one of them is that they've hit their weight target, but we always ask for what are the 3 biggest wins and what's your non-scale victory. And little things like, I took my daughter swimming, and my husband normally does that because I'm not confident enough. Or I did the parents' race and sports day because I had the confidence to do it. And that's not because they've lost weight. That's just because they found that confidence within themselves. Big ones, like I said, I've touched on it again, you know, got an incredible lady, you know, come off every medication that she was on. When she started, if you shook her, she would rattle. Like, she had blood pressure, anti-angina, stuff for all these like different joint pains. And, you know, the doctor, oh yeah, it's inflammation within the joints. She's not on that anymore. No. Yes, it's because she's lost weight, but let's look at the bigger picture. And I always say to people, like, as dramatic as it is, sometimes losing weight, and I know we're talking non-scale victories, but I'm talking about, okay, losing weight and becoming a healthier version of you. I'm talking physically now. You know, that means that you could probably look after your grandchildren for like 10 years longer. And I know that sounds really dramatic. You're going to be on this planet longer, the healthier you are. And I'm not talking just weight, but I'm talking nutritious foods, health is movement. Like, if you are healthier, you're going to be around on this planet. And a lot of people see their weight loss journey, and I've just gone off a completely different tangent from non-scale victories, but a lot of people see their weight loss journey as something that they're just going to do now that will just reward them for now. And I'm like, you see those effects in 30, 40, 50 years no matter how old you are.
And I think one of the biggest things that people get so caught up in is the end result. Like, you have to fall in love with the journey because your end goal will always change. Like, if you fall in love with the process, then you're laughing. As James Smith said,
the journey doesn't end.
No.
A diet and a transformation, or fixing your relationship with food, or whatever it may be. I've used the word diet again, but we know what I mean. It doesn't start and end, because if it ends and you go back to every single habit that you had at the beginning, you're going to go back to that person at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think...
What did James Smith say?
So James Smith said, and I want to get this right, he said, the person that enjoys walking will go a further distance than the person who wants to get to the destination. Something along those lines. He said it in his book, and it really struck deep, because I've had people come and go, I want to do this. And I'm like, cool, that's great that you want to do that. But let's think about the next 2 months. Let's think about those stepping stones. And we get to the 2 months, and that goal's ever so slightly changed because they've seen what they're capable of in other aspects. And I think your journey never ends. There's no final destination with health and fitness, right? We're all born, we all die. What we do in between is up to us. And how we live that life is up to us. You could, not look after yourself and abuse your body in a way that you're not healthy, you're not fit, and have a shorter life. You could look after yourself, be fitter, be healthier, and I'm not talking about like size or weight or whatever, but be fitter, healthier, have a more balanced lifestyle and live longer. But what matters is that journey. How do I get from A to B?
And enjoying it.
Yeah, because if you don't love the journey, you won't enjoy the end result.
Do you know that's really interesting, which is probably like a good place to wrap up? And we both asked each other the question at the start of, what is your ideal journey for a client, or what's your take-home message? And I feel like we both said different things, but we're both coming, like we said, we've got different audiences, different methods, different strategies, different routes of how we coach. We've both come to the end resolution of the same thing, which I think should be the ideal goal of most online coaches, which is a really good take-home message to like finish up. We want you to go through a transformation, whatever that may be, and enjoy it.
And everyone's will look different.
Yeah, like, enjoy it and don't resent it.
Because the art, like comparing yourself to other people Like, comparison is the thief of all joy.
Everybody's everybody's trying to get from A to B, but everybody's A to B is different.
Yeah.
But you've got to love that journey between A to B, otherwise you're going to resent it, like I touched on at the beginning with my own journey.
Exactly. And everyone's journey is different. Everyone's journey has positives, everyone's journey has negatives, and everyone's journey builds them to be who they are. Like, I wouldn't be doing this job if I hadn't have gone through what I'd gone through. And as much as it was horrific, I'm so thankful I have.
It's made what you are today.
I'm the person I am today because of it. And maybe if I was the skinny kid at school, then I wouldn't be doing what I am now, because I wouldn't be able to empathise with people that are in the situation that I was once in. I think it's probably the same for you. Like, if you hadn't been on your weight loss journey, you might not be a coach, because
I completely agree.
And even if you were, you wouldn't be able to empathise with your clients and get it. Like, because there are some genetically gifted people, and, you know, that's great, but we have to understand they are genetically gifted. That's how their body looks. It's how it's always looked. That's how it's meant to look. No one's the same. Everyone's different, and we need to celebrate one another and just enjoy being in our own body and what it can do, and celebrate that.
That got deep. I think that's a really good place to round it up.
Yeah.
So you probably heard enough of us waffling now. So just to anybody who's watching long form, because I feel like we're definitely
I feel like we might do, you know,
because some of these. So the goal was for this was nice short form content, but every video is going to be about 10 minutes long. But
literally,
if somebody wants to find you, maybe, you know, Antonia's already spoke about her niche, relationship with food, struggling in that respect. Where can they find you? How do they kind of do that for you?
Instagram. So we are _AKG FIT.
That's how we both have initials and fit.
I know.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
So find you on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, we do everything on Instagram.
Yeah.
We just find that it just works a bit easier. I feel like we can express who we are better on Instagram than anywhere else.
And what kind of person are you looking for?
We are looking for women that want to transform their relationship with food, their relationship with exercise, and become the fittest and healthiest version of themselves, both physically and mentally.
Love that.
Well, that was really good. No, that just rolled off the tongue.
Love that.
What about you, Kerry? Where can everyone find you?
So Instagram as well, KFL FIT. Again, without initials, without the underscore. Target for anybody between mid-20s up to their mid-60s want to go through a positive weight loss journey. So again, we're very different. My goal is more focusing on that transformation and that body transformation, as well as obviously doing it in the most positive, beneficial, mentally approving way. So both of us on Instagram _AKG FIT, KFL FIT. But well done, girl.